What's this? Tuesday night?
Tuesday.
9 o'clock? 9:20?
Back.
I-80 crossover, baby. I'm going to update that graphic. Mark, I don't know what you think about this idea. I'm going to replace that I-80 with an actual freeway sign. Is that a good look?
Maybe I like that.
Basketball in there?
I like that. I'm with it.
We'll clean it up. Every Tuesday night, Mark Haynes. You can follow him on all social media platforms at Mark Haynes NBA. And yours truly, Cyrus Saatsaz. We collaborate. We dual stream this bitch. And it's Bleav in Kings. It's Golden Daze. And we're having fun. Let's get into it. Welcome to the program. Oh, the party started. Mark, how the hell are you doing, brother? Good to see you.
Man, good. Hey, man, this is my favorite day of the week. Get to see my guy, man. Talk some basketball, Kings and Warriors. I'm doing good, man. My day's getting better as it's ending.
Right back at you. This feels much more like just two friends catching up on a weekly basis. A little escape from reality, a little social healing, if you will. And you folks are all welcome, man. It's all good either way. Today's episode, I did a show earlier and I completely forgot to mention them. If you don't mind, Mark, for 1 second while I give some love to a sponsor of Golden Daze and by default of sponsor of Bleav in Kings, and that's Decades, an awesome cover band. Look, this weather it isn't nice right now. I'm not gonna lie. This weather lately has been disgusting. I can't even begin to imagine what the weather's like in the valley where you're at, dude. Like it's muggy. It's like Texas hot. How's the weather been there, dude? Describe it in detail, please.
Yeah, it's been ugly. It's been weird because, like you said, it's been dark at times, but it's hot. Been times it looks like it's gonna rain, but it's like it's hot. It's just been weird. It's been strange.
It's been gross, dude. Like, I don't even know how people are watching Sacramento A's games in this weather. But look, I bring all that up because when the weather is warm, you want to go outside. And what a better time than, when it's pleasant to be outdoors to enjoy some live music. And that's what Decades is providing for you. They're a cover band. They're based originally out of Chico, California. They're NorCal natives. They're immersed in the Northern California sports scene. Billy DeBono, the drummer of Decades, his dad was a legend in the music scene, and he was hobnobbing with Al Davis growing up, hobnobbing with Eddie DeBartolo, the former owner of the 49ers, whose sister sadly sabotaged the operation and took over because Eddie D was once upon a time a riverboat gambler, literally. I'm not making that up, but unfortunately he lost the team. Anyways, point is, Decades, they're immersed in the sports scene here in the Bay Area, Northern California as a whole. And why not hire the very same band that Eddie D hired for his private compound in Montana? He really did. He hired Decades. They played a whole night of music for Eddie D and his friends. I imagine maybe some Niners players were there. And you could hire that same band for your event, whether it's a birthday, whether it's an anniversary, whether it's just a good old-fashioned backyard rager. I don't know if I mentioned birthday already, a wedding. Talk about a need for live music. Check out Decades. Go to decadesofficial.com. Again, decadesofficial.com and find their contact page. Learn more about them. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at decadesofficial, or email Kyle at atomicmusicgroup.com. Again, Kyle at atomicmusicgroup.com. I am on a mission now to get somebody to book this band. We have not generated business for Decades yet. A lot of interest. People are reaching out and calling, but no one has actually ponied up the ducats to book this band. Folks, support our show, support Decades, and book them for your event. Thank me later. And side note, if you invite me to whatever shindig you're hosting with Decades as the band, invite your Uncle Si. I'll show up, and we'll make it a night that we'll all remember. So decadesofficial.com one more time. Today's episode also brought to you by Shams Charania of ESPN. I'm kidding. Clearly, he's not sponsoring the show. But I want to start with this soundbite because we've been talking ad nauseum about the Golden State Warriors these last 2 days, Mark, on the Golden Daze side of things, largely because of this breaking blockbuster story that Shams and Anthony Slater published. But Shams got the Kings in the mix a little bit as well. And I'm going to play the soundbite so you have a better idea as to what I'm talking about. Because when it comes to interest for Jonathan Kuminga outside of the Golden State Warriors, there are other teams interested. The Phoenix Suns come to mind, and certainly your Sacramento Kings come to mind. Here's what Shams Charania had to say, and then Mark, we'll get your reaction to his words. Here is Shams talking about the Kings and other teams also interested in still restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga.
Warriors have had two aggressive suitors in Kuminga. That's the Phoenix Suns and the Sacramento Kings. The Kings have been offering a deal somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 years, $63 to $66 million. And their deal has been around Malik Monk and a first-round pick. The Suns, on the other hand, it's been around 4 years, approaching $90 million. That's been Royce O'Neal and second-round draft compensation. Both of these teams want Kuminga to come in, start, give him a player option, play significant minutes. The Warriors, of course, reluctant to just guarantee him all of that. And so far, they've been declining all of these trades as well. So as it's been for 3 months, George, it's about who's going to blink first, the Warriors or Jonathan Kuminga. We're going to find out within the next 2 weeks.
And we've covered this. We mentioned this on the program, at least on the Golden Days side before, that if the Warriors guarantee the third year of a 3-year, I believe, $75 million contract offer, which is currently on the table, but the third year is a team option. JK wants nothing to do with that. At the same time, you do have teams like the Suns and your Sacramento Kings borderline salivating over this kid, and rightfully so. Look, let's be serious here for a second, man. Jonathan Kuminga would look amazing in a Kings uniform. I think he would fit that team very well. I think the Kings desperately need him. And I think the last thing the Golden State Warriors want is to see a scenario kind of like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leaving the Clippers for the Thunder. I don't think Joe Lacob wants to see Jonathan Kuminga kicking his ass wearing a Kings uniform, but the Kings are interested, man. What are your thoughts on this whole situation, brother?
Yeah, that's what I think a lot of this is about or whatever. Like, you definitely, if you Joe Lacob, you don't want to see this guy go right down the street, which is, right down the I-80,
right?
just to go turn an organization into, I'm not going to say contenders or anything like that, but who knows what their future can be. Yeah, but it definitely, even in this season, like, I think Jonathan Kuminga, there's been times throughout this whole, process where I hear guys talking about Kuminga, and I don't think that everybody fully understands like what type of talent he is. They see, over there and go, Steve Kerr would have him on the bench and not play him at times, and people out here, a lot of folks think Jonathan Kuminga is just not that good. He doesn't, make players better or this and that or whatever. And it's really, he just hasn't had the chance to be as great as he can be. But if he came over here to Sacramento, I believe Scott Perry and Doug Christie would automatically see him as a focal point within the offense or just within the team in general, not just the offense. And I think he's one of those type of players that can, be a real game changer. So I think this is like it's been a slow off season for the Sacramento Kings. Not much has happened outside of drafting the 2 rookies and picking up Dario Saric, your guy. But I think this Kuminga thing is like the big deal. If they can get Kuminga, I think they'll be happy with their off season, and I think it'll be I think you could call it a good year if you could get them.
And Derek 925 in the chat saying Dario Saric and a first rounder, get it done. The Dario Saric, man, that contract that he's on right now, I think safe to say was the exclamation point on Calvin Booth's career as a GM. The fact, dude, I mean, 2-year, $12 million for Dario Saric last year. I remember seeing that. Just shocked. I couldn't. I love how they gave him a player option for the second year. Like there was any chance in hell he was not going to exercise that. $6 million, dude. There's a lot of players way better than Dario Saric, like Trey Lyles, for example. I think far superior. And Trey Lyles is playing in Madrid next year while Dario Saric is getting an NBA contract. That's hilarious. Look, I'm going to call your team out here, okay? And if we're going to have a fun debate, let's have it if you don't disagree. To me, man, I look at the Sacramento Kings, and then I look at the offers they've made for Jonathan Kuminga. I think the last one, which was a little more serious than the initial Dario Saric in 2 seconds, and I think Devin Carter at one point was tossed in there. And the last offer I heard about, and I haven't seen anything since, was Malik Monk and a 2030 protected first rounder.
Right.
If you're the Sacramento Kings and you're trying to be serious here and you're trying to be a winning organization and you really want Jonathan Kuminga, why are you not making a real offer here? I guess what I'm trying to say is, when I have discussions with other people in regards to Kuminga being traded to the Kings, the pushback usually is, oh, dude, they'll never give up Domantas Sabonis. Oh, they'll never give up a player like Zach LaVine, or they'll never get Keegan Murray's another one. And what I'm saying here is, if the Kings want to be serious, you better offer something substantial. What you have on paper now, I don't think is very good, dude. I think the Kings are a lottery team, and maybe that's by design because the draft next year is going to be so deep. But I guess my point here is, if they really want Kuminga, you got to make a serious offer, man. And what's your take on that, dude? Do you think I'm being crazy?
Yeah, no, I think no, I don't think that's crazy. I think if they believe that Kuminga was their guy, and he's going to be the future, I think you have to go all in to get him. But they're not. So that obviously shows that there is some hesitance in making this move, because I definitely think the Kings have, what it takes to get him, especially with this, given this situation with Golden State and how, they're hesitant to keep him, so the door is open. It would take the right move. And I think I seen somebody said, the Malik Monk, and you do an unprotected, first round pick, maybe that'll do it or whatever.
Yes.
Yes. But that's not the route they're going. And that must mean they have to be looking at, next year in the draft or whatever, or just hoping that the Golden State Warriors, give Kuminga what he wants. Because as I seen a report by Sam Amick, who said that, Kuminga, he wants to be in Sacramento.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yes.
So that's always a good thing. And maybe the Kings are playing on that, and maybe they understand that a deal isn't going to get done between the Warriors and Kuminga, and maybe the Warriors' hands get forced a little bit to where they have to give in. Maybe that's what they're hoping. I mean, obviously that would be, best case scenario for the Kings, if they could get Kuminga for little or nothing or whatever. That would be amazing. But I highly doubt that the Warriors allow that to happen. Like I said, especially given that this is the team right next door. If the Kings were an Eastern Conference team or whatever, I could actually see it. We've seen, all kind of crazy trades go down that, it didn't make any sense other than money wise and financial or whatever. So, but the fact that they're literally right next door and a rival, if we want to call them that or whatever, I don't see the Warriors giving up without a fight. And but I think the Kings are, kind of banking on it, which, I think it's a good chess move. I think it's a good chess move to sit, especially if Jonathan Kuminga isn't your franchise guy when you see him or whatever, then, sure, you wait on, see, try to force the Warriors' hands, see what happens.
And people in the chat mentioning how the draft next year is going to be deep. But, if I'm the Kings GM, right, if I'm Scott Perry, and unless there is a directive from the owner, and we all know Vivek can be very meddlesome, and the dude thinks he's a GM himself, which is much of the detriment of the Sacramento Kings and their fan base. My condolences to each and every one of you in SAC for having an owner who, again, is meddlesome. The guy thinks he knows what he's doing when it comes to personnel. Agree to disagree, Vivek, on that front. But look, if you're Scott Perry, if I'm Scott Perry, I'm offering Keegan Murray, and I'm offering an unprotected first round pick, if not next year, 2027, something that's going to entice the Warriors. Because I'll tell you this, and this is a strong message from this guy right here with two thumbs pointing in his direction at the Sacramento Kings fan base. Jonathan Kuminga would flip your franchise around. Like if Kuminga was on the Sacramento Kings, if let's say they made this trade, right? Keegan Murray, future first round pick, and you get Jonathan Kuminga back. Your team is legit. Your team is suddenly fast, athletic. You have a guy who can put up 25 points a night on top of two other guys that could put up 25 points a night in DeRozan and Zach LaVine. You also have Domantas Sabonis who could put up 20 plus a night. You might actually have four guys who could give you 25 a night. Jonathan Kuminga is far more dynamic offensively. I think Kuminga can hold his own as well as Keegan Murray defensively. My point is, I love this kid Kuminga, man, and I would not like to see him lead the Warriors, but if I'm the Kings GM, dude, I would make this happen. I think it is foolish of the Kings to not be more aggressive because the other team that Shams mentioned was the Phoenix Suns. They have nothing that they can offer to the Golden State Warriors, right? There is no asset there that can entice them. The Kings have a couple of assets. Like, again, either Keegan Murray or Domantas Sabonis. And Sabonis might be more of a reach because I know in Sacramento you guys love him, and he still is like an all-star caliber player. So throw in Keegan Murray, throw in an unprotected first, and flip your organization around, dude. Flip your fortunes around. You're going to be an exciting team next year if you do that. But I don't think they're going to do it. But that's my thought on it. Yeah, do you have pushback? What do you think?
Yeah, not really a pushback, but because I'm a huge Kuminga guy too. I'm a huge Kuminga guy, and I'm also a Keegan Murray person. And like I said before, I think they're in similar situations. They're in similar situations that when it comes to like usage or whatever. Like Keegan isn't going to get a lot of touches here in Sacramento, but with Kuminga, the way he plays and how aggressive he is, he's that guy. Which he gets in trouble with the Warriors sometimes, where he'll go just take his shot. He's going to go get it. Keegan's not as aggressive as Kuminga, and I wish he was, because I think if he was, I think he, even with last year's team, I think he would have averaged closer to that 20-point range that Kings fans hope to see him get to. But I think I'm really big on Kuminga, man. I've always have been. When as a rookie, I was like, man, this is just it's gonna be a tough situation. I was always curious to like how it was gonna play out when we got to like contract times or whatever. Like, I was like, I didn't see how it was gonna work, especially when you look at how Steph and the Dre and Jimmy Butler now, but those guys they're not slowing. They're slowing down, but not much.
Yeah.
So then, at what point do you say, okay? I just never seen. I never seen like it was going to be Kuminga's time, and it was like, so he has to go somewhere else for that to happen, unless he just sits around. Which the NBA doesn't wait on anybody. Somebody's coming, but if he got Sacramento.
Derek J925 saying, if you take Vivek, I'll give you Keegan. A hard pass on that. Let me ask you this. Keegan Murray last year regressed. Like, he played 80 games. In years 1 and 2, he played 76 and 77 respectively. His rookie season, he averaged 34.3 minutes per game. His second year, he averaged 33.6 minutes per game. So just about 0.7 seconds less than his rookie year. Last year, his minutes go down to 29.8, and that affected his stats across the board. His scoring average went from 15.2 to 12.2. I don't know if the reduction in minutes affected his. Wait a second. Forgive me. I'm looking at this reverse. Let me start over.
Yeah, I was gonna say it went up, right?
I was reading this down to. Okay, let me start over here. I apologize for that. His rookie year, he played 80 games. Second year, 77 games. Third year, 76. His scoring went 12.2, 15.2, 12.4. His minutes went up. I apologize for that. So his rookie year, he played 29.8. Second year, 33.6. Third year, 34.3. However, his scoring did drop with the increase in minutes. This actually makes it worse, from 15.2 to 12.4. His three-point shooting went down. He shot 41.1% his rookie year. Second year, he shoots 35.8%. Last year, 34.3%. The number that did go up, which is encouraging if you're a Kings fan especially, is rebounding. His rookie year, he averaged just 3.5 boards per game. Second year, 5.5. Last year, 6.7. But the scoring is a little concerning to me, man. Like, what happened there in your opinion?
In my opinion, like when I seen what Keegan did last year or whatever, and when you focus on the scoring and the scoring drop, it's not just the scoring, his 3-point shooting. You know, he struggled offensively for sure. But I think what stood out mostly to me is like the Kings and you know, I think people seeing Keegan ceiling as a a Kawhi Leonard type player or whatever.
Is that
But
what you see him as a Kawhi?
well, this is the thing. I don't see many people as a Kawhi,
Okay.
but I think that's what he was semi used as, like a two. You know, they preached him being a two-way player. You know, we know he could score the ball, but we want him guarding the best player on the other team every single night, which he did, whether there were point guards shooting, you know, ones, twos, or fours, he guarded them all. And he did a great job defensively. He had one of the best defensive years in the league last year. But it also showed the greatness of, to me, it showed the greatness of Kawhi Leonard, to where you can do that not every single night, every night that you play
Consistently. Yeah.
Because you're gonna guard the best player, and I'm still gonna give you 25 a night. You know, and I think it was a task that, you know, I think Keegan did his best to, obviously he wasn't aiming to average 25, but he definitely wasn't aiming to average 12. And I think it just took a toll on him. His rebounding went up. These are all things that are, rough on your body, to say the least, or whatever. And I think it was just like an adjustment each year from his rookie year to, year 2 to year 3. His role kind of changed. I think the DeMar DeRozan addition last year coming into the season, I think that was when people were like, oh, we need Keegan to be De'Aaron Fox's, number 2 guy. We need Keegan to be at 20 points a game. And I think that's what his mindset was. And then all of a sudden, you get DeMar. You get DeMar, and it's like, there's no way you're going to average 20 now. So who knows? I don't know what he did during that off season, what he focused on or whatever, but
you got married, right?
No, that was this offseason. I'm talking about last
offseason. Okay,
last offseason when DeMar came. Like, everything he did, I would imagine it all basically had to go away, because DeMar was going to be that guy who's going to, he's going to be that number 2 guy, and at times number 1. So I think Keegan just kind of got lost in the, lost in the sauce. But I still think Keegan has a really high ceiling. And I wouldn't say it's higher than Kuminga's, but I don't think Keegan is going to be that far away when it's all said and done.
Yeah. And if you swap those 2 players, I do, and again, this is just my opinion, but I do feel like they would fit on the other respective teams so much better. Like, the Warriors could use a guy like Keegan Murray, who's just focused on defense, rebounding. Now the Keegan Murray on the Warriors part, in the present day, I think it would be a much better fit. 2 years from now, I would be regretting it. I know that for certain. But whereas with the Kings, I mean, you had Jonathan Kuminga. I thought about that a lot, like what it would look like if Kuminga played for the Kings. And my Lord, dude, I really think he would light it up, dude. Especially if they just gave him the ball and kind of got out of the way.
And are you familiar with the Keegan Murray chant?
No.
So every time out here, and it's like a big thing, and I think they even added it on NBA 2K. And now I think about it, I have never played 2K with the Kings, but
interesting.
Whenever he makes a three, whenever he makes a three, in the arena, the PA announcer will say Keegan, and the entire arena goes Murray. And that's every time he makes a three, and they do it in stores. They do it when he's out in the street. It's everywhere. And I was like, I wonder if he somehow ended up in the Bay, would they continue that? Because it's a big deal out here. It's like it's the beam, and then it's the Keegan Murray chant.
Dude, the beam, bro. That was what a brilliance in marketing, man. I know Joe Lacob still looks at that every time with just envy. Like he didn't think of it first. The beam, because I mean, it doesn't have to be a Sacramento exclusive thing, right? I mean,
right.
Is there a correlation? Like, is there a tie-in with the beam and the Kings, or is it just literally, hey, we're shooting up a beam in the sky if we win, and it looks cool? Like what was the thinking behind it? If any,
there's a bunch of stories out there about that, as far as like how it came about and things of that nature. But from my understanding, it was a thing that, you know, they came together as a group and was like they wanted something to symbolize, you know, the Kings won tonight, you know, and something that the whole city, because you could literally anywhere in Sacramento, you can see that beam, especially on a clear night. It's brilliant, and it's, you know, what's funny is, like, I think it was last Wednesday or something or whatever. I don't know what the heck was going on, but it was like 4 a.m. And don't ask me why I was out at 4 a.m, but it was like 4 a.m.
Curious, but I won't.
It was like 4 a.m. And I could see a silhouette of the beam. It was like very light. So as I drove downtown, the beam was shooting straight through downtown, like ground level. And I'm like,
horizontally.
Yeah, horizontally. It looked like it got knocked over. And I don't know what happened. I need to ask King's PR about that.
Yes.
But it was strange, but it was cool to see the beam going all straight through downtown into Old Town Sac.
That is weird, man. If anybody out there has any information on why the beam was tipped over, let us know. That is interesting. In the chat, Robert Briley is asking if there's interest in Kuminga. Why didn't anyone offer him a contract? Because no one had cap space. This was just a completely nightmarish scenario for anyone who was a free agent, especially a restricted free agent. No one had space except for the Brooklyn Nets, and that incompetency showed itself again because they did not take advantage of that cap space. I can't tell. I want to look them up real fast just to see if I can actually track down what they did with that cap space. All I can think of was the Cam Johnson trade where they got Michael Porter Jr. back. But yeah, this was just an awful year for free agents because no one had space. Now, next offseason, what we know as of right now is there is at least 10 teams next offseason who have cap space. And it's one of many reasons why if Jonathan Kuminga signs that qualifying offer, the Warriors are just effed. I mean, it's the more you think about that qualifying offer, the more you realize how much leverage Jonathan Kuminga has on the Golden State Warriors, because that is not a scenario that they want to entertain in any regard, dude. I think I don't imagine they'd want to do that. So that is the explanation, in case you're curious. Now, your team signed someone this offseason. His name is Dennis Schröder. He was on the Golden State Warriors last year. And Schroder played some damn good basketball for a tournament that not that long ago no one gave a shit about. Now, granted, this is a very slow offseason, so that's part of the reason, at least, why the what is it called? The Euro Basket? Is that what that tournament's called in Europe, where the countries, the European countries, are all playing against each other? Dennis Schröder is lighting it up out there. And take it away, man. How's Dennis Schröder doing? Because I'm guessing you're following this action more than me, but Dennis Schröder was a big free agent acquisition for the Kings, and he's getting a lot of attention for how he's doing playing in Eurobasket. What have you heard?
Yeah, and obviously coming into the offseason or whatever, so I forgot to mention Dennis Schröder earlier when I said the only thing they did was get rookies. But yeah, they signed Dennis Schröder, and that was a guy who was high on the Kings list of people who've going to get. But no, like if you follow Schroder, I know this isn't the first time he's done this. I Bleav this is his second championship winning, and I Bleav this is going to be his second MVP. Might need to fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I think he's a two-timer with this. But whenever he plays in these overseas, tournaments, the Euro tournaments and whatnot, the dude is amazing. The dude, like he looks like he's gonna come over to the NBA and have like this major breakout year or whatever. And he's always solid. He's always solid or whatever. But Euro Schroder is definitely a different player. He's a different animal. And he did it once again, won the championship, got the MVP. And it's I think the Kings. I think he is a really good pickup for the Kings. I think like we talked about Jonathan Kuminga being a game changer. I don't think he's a game changer, but I think he's a game neutralizer. Like I think he's like when the Kings get on these, they'll have a lot of just bad streaks of basketball. And Schroder is a guy that could kind of, keep everything even kill or whatever. He could get you a bucket when you need it. He's fearless. He's a competitor. And
yes, that's true.
That's something Sacramento, desperately needed at times. It looks like, sometimes it looks like they just, run out of fight. And Dennis Schröder is somebody that's gonna continue to go. He's gonna always go, 100 miles an hour, whether it's offense or defense, whether it's good or bad. And but Euro Dennis Schroder, he's like he's on another level. He's another level.
Which leads to a topic you and I were talking about before we started recording, and we're going to keep this a short show tonight. Forgive us for that. Dennis Schröder, who brought this up, man? Because even Draymond Green jumped into the fray for a second in terms of discussing it. Side note, Draymond Green is very active on Threads. I don't know if you folks are aware of that. He's almost single-handedly making that platform relevant. It's fascinating to watch. And Draymond jumped into this I don't know if it's an argument or a debate or what. I don't even know where it came from originally, but someone brought up Dennis Schröder as a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason why it's the conversation started is because of what Schroeder's been doing with Eurobasket and just how dominant he is in international play. What are your thoughts on that, dude? Because I am so against the idea of Dennis Schröder being a Hall of Famer. I think that is an asinine suggestion. I really do. If you're going to let Dennis Schröder in, I mean, the credibility of the Hall of Fame to me is just completely lost. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, because like when we say about the Hall of Fame and who gets in, who doesn't get in, first ballot, second ballot, all that matters. But I do know that because it's the Basketball Hall of Fame. If it's the NBA Hall of Fame, then I say absolutely no to Dennis Schröder being in.
Are there two Hall of Fames? Or
well, no. So the Naismith one is like all of basketball. It's not just the NBA. So like if you go through, I think there's guys like, for instance, you correct me if I'm wrong or whatever, but I think Tony Kukoc is in the Hall of Fame.
Interesting. Hold on. I'm looking at, I have the list in front of me. Let me do a quick search. 2021. So he was inducted.
So if it's the NBA Hall of Fame, Tony Kukoc, I loved watching him play when he played, but he's not a Hall of Famer.
That's interesting. I see what you're saying. And just to add to that, Mark, because in front of me I have all the members of the Hall of Fame and their accomplishments. And with Tony Kukoc, like the first three accomplishments listed are three-time NBA champion, right? He was the sixth man on the Chicago Bulls. And on that note, he won the Sixth Man of the Year award in 1996. He was NBA All-Rookie second team in 1994. And then there's like 15 items that are all FIBA. World Championship MVP in 90. FIBA Eurobasket MVP 91. FIBA's 50 greatest players 91. So anyways, you get what I'm trying to say here. So that's interesting. I never until this moment thought that accomplishments outside of the NBA was mattered for the Naismith Hall of Fame, but it does.
Right. So, in that case, with all those factors into it, and like you read off Tony Kukoc's, accomplishments,
Yeah.
I think Dennis Schroder is I think he has a real good case. And that, especially if he's I don't know, internationally how, big of a deal it is to win the Euro basketball tournament or whatever. Um, but if this is like a big thing and he's a two-time MVP as well, I don't see how he doesn't get in. It just would be strange in the modern era. We don't really see too many guys like that. But no, I think he definitely has a shot, especially given what he's done in international play.
Armando Laura, the professor, him and I, every Friday, we do the Friday happy hour writing. If Keegan Murray doesn't have to guard primary players, he will start shooting better. Easy to
I
see.
agree.
And someone else in the chat, I think Desiree added that the Kings not having a natural point guard last year might have affected Keegan Murray's scoring output as well. Do you think that played a part in it, or irrelevant?
Yeah, I think both of those comments are accurate to some degree. I think Keegan was really put in a really tough situation where he didn't, like, when you talk about having a true point guard. I don't When I've seen a lot of his shots, they looked, semi rushed, even when he was open or whatever. Like, he just didn't look as comfortable, and his shot didn't look as fluent as it did in the past, especially like his rookie season, where his rookie season he was unconscious from the three, and he was playing, you know brainless, to so to speak, or whatever. Like, he didn't have to think. He
Yeah.
was catching it, letting it fly. Second year, it was more of like, we need you to take this step. So now he's thinking more in the second year. Third year, like I said, I think he came in ready to take another step, and then boom, DeMar DeRozan comes, and things change, and you
Yeah.
don't have a true point guard. So I think, like, a lot of things impacted Keegan, last season, that I would expect, if he's here and Kuminga's, stuck in Golden State, I expect a much better season offensively from Keegan this year.
We'll see.
Yeah,
It wouldn't surprise me if he did. It definitely would not. But I also, if you're a Kings fan, those numbers last year I'm guessing would concern you a little bit.
it has
Before we
to.
go, oh, sorry, yeah,
No, I said it has to. It has to.
has
It's
to, yeah.
something.
Before we go, you and I were talking about the Hall of Fame and just how its credibility's taken a hit over the years, and I want to list off who's gotten into the Hall of Fame since the year 2000. Just to see what is the spectrum of talent that they're letting in, and maybe this paints a picture in terms of the overall credibility of the organization as a whole. In the year 2000, only two players got in: Bob McAdoo, legendary NBA player who also did not realize was a two-time FIBA European Champions Cup winner.
Mm.
Did you know that?
Nah, I didn't. I had no
Bob
idea.
McAdoo. Okay. Well, anyway, so Bob McAdoo, that makes perfect sense. He was an NBA legend. And then Isaiah Thomas of the Detroit Pistons, right?
Yeah.
I think those are safe bets. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Like no controversy there. So 2001, just one player got in. Moses Malone, one of the greatest bigs
See,
in
yeah.
NBA history.
And
Agreed?
I like where you're going with this, Cyrus, because I know where you're going. Yeah, go ahead. My bad.
No, you're good. No, you jump in. No, you jump in, please. So 2002, the pattern continues where it's very exclusive. Like they're only letting in the elite of elite.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson and Drazen Petrovic, who tragically passed away at a young age. Correct, right? Wasn't he the one who died in the car accident? I think.
Yeah.
One of the greatest shooters ever, and Petrovic, FIBA world champion, Eurobasket gold medal winner, 3-time Olympic medalist. So he had a mix of European and NBA influence. I didn't really hear many people having an issue with that. 2003, you have 3 players getting in, and the first guy, I don't know anything about him. I don't know if you do either. This is a former Italian professional basketball player, considered to be the best Italian player ever. His name is Dino Meneghin. Have you ever heard of him?
Never heard of him. So
Same.
what other players are from Italy? Well, yeah, Kobe, but
who was the guy in the Warrior? Mario Bellinelli. I think he was Italian.
Yeah, Bellinelli. He might have a chance.
There's a few from, I can't think of anyone else from Italy at the moment. Anyways, so 2003, you have this Dino guy. It's like, okay, apparently he's accomplished a lot internationally. Robert Parrish, the Chief, pretty safe bet. James Worthy, right? One of the greatest wings ever, part of the Lakers dynasty. 2004, we start getting more international, and the numbers start to increase. Drazen Dalipagic. Never heard of that dude either. FIBA world champion, Serbian professional basketball player and head coach, considered the greatest athlete of Yugoslavia in the year 1978. Okay. And then he's joined by Clyde Drexler. That's a very safe bet, right? Yeah. Maurice Stokes. Any opinions there? This is a guy who was a 3-time NBA All-Star in 1956 to 58. So I'm gonna have to ask Rick Barry about that someday. Maurice Stokes. Do you know anything about him?
No, never heard of him.
And then 2004 continues with Lynette Woodard, who was a gold medalist in the 84 Olympics, a 1990 FIBA world champion for the women's team, inducted to the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in 2005. So now we're starting to and again, you're starting to notice with each year passing, the Hall of Fame is just kind of giving in and letting more and more people, right? That's 2003. No, I'm sorry, that's 2004. 2005. Have you ever heard of Hortensia di Fahima Marcati?
I wouldn't even know how to spell it, first off.
Oh, dude. So I was looking at it. Former basketball player who's often considered to be one of the greatest female basketball players in Brazil. Joining her was Charles Barkley. That's a safe one. Joe Dumars. That's a pretty safe one. Dominique Wilkins. Absolute safe one. And so that's 2006. 2007, they didn't even have an entry. I like that. I remember baseball did shit like that. Football did shit like that. You want it to be exclusive, right? It adds prestige to your organization. 2007 had none. 2008, Adrian Dantley, right? Former Detroit Piston, Maverick. And then he's joined by Patrick Ewing. He's joined by Akeem Olajuwon. And that's 2008. So I feel like the Hall of Fame still
that's a good class.
That is agreed. 2009 is spectacular. Michael Jordan. And side note, in case you ever wonder where the crying Jordan meme comes from, it was from that Hall of Fame in 2009. David Robinson, the Admiral, and John Stockton, the NBA assist king, who along with Malone had those 2 heartbreaking finals losses. Now, 2010 is where it gets kind of weird. I think 2010 is where they kind of lost the grip. Because in 2010, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people getting in. It starts with Cynthia Cooper Dyke, female WNBA player, 2-time NCAA champion. Dennis Johnson, former point guard for the Celtics, worthy. Gus Johnson, who was a player back in the 60s. I think he played in the ABA for a lot of his career. All right, that's fair. Karl Malone, incredible. He goes without saying, right? Even though he's, personally speaking, he's borderline just a dog with fleas, and that's an insult to dogs. And then Uberatan Pereira Maciel, another Brazilian player. He played in Brazil long ass time ago in the 60s. So that's your 2010 Hall of Fame. Oh, and Scottie Pippen. I'm sorry, and Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
That's a really safe one. 2011, you start getting a lot of names again too. Dennis Rodman, that's a good one. Chris Mullin, that's a good one. Arvydas Sabonis, who many say could be in the discussion for the greatest big ever when you factor in his international play. The dude was supposedly just a monster, half man, half monster. Blew both his Achilles out before he came to the NBA. So he experienced all those injuries beforehand. You had Artis Gilmore, one of the greatest bigs ever. And then Teresa Edwards, 5-time Olympic gold medalist. And then you had a Harlem Globetrotter, inducted in 2011. Goose Tatum. Okay, all right, that's reasonable.
Interesting, yeah.
Interesting, yeah, it is. Yeah. 2012. Katrina McClain, she WNBA player. No. Have you ever heard of her? Katrina McClain, two-time Kodak All-American from Georgia, WBCA Player of the Year in '87, two-time gold medalist, two-time USA Basketball Female Athlete of the Year. Okay, or whatever.
The accomplishments are there.
yeah. Reggie Miller, that's a good one. Ralph Sampson, that's a good one. Chet Walker, who played back in the 60s. I don't know much about him, but I've heard a lot about him. Jamal Wilkes, I think that's a very solid one. So that's 2012.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're still kind of like in there's a semblance of sanity here so far, right?
So it's always got to be 3 to 4 NBA players, and it's like I like what was that 2007 where nobody got in?
Correct.
I like that. Like
me too.
And even if you don't get in right away, whatever. Like I feel like there should be levels to this, and maybe everyone isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. Maybe you miss it the first time. Maybe you get in second and third or whatever, just to kind of show, the levels of greatness when it comes to the the Hall of Fame. But now it's always going to be, it's almost like the contracts. Every year, the contracts are going to be bigger. This is the biggest contract ever, and every year it's going to be NBA players. Like I was talking to a friend, and I was like, man, you look at the NBA right now. There's about 75 Hall of Famers in it. But I don't believe that. I don't believe there's.
Is that the number 75?
No. I'm just throwing out. I'm probably exaggerating the number of what I actually believe. But essentially, every team, when you look at every star player, they're going to have the numbers to be in the Hall of Fame. So then it's like, what does it mean now? To be a Hall of Famer.
And just to add to that, we went from like naming, or at least from this list I'm going off of, I was naming one person, maybe two. We had 2007, 0. And then around 2010, it suddenly jumped to 6. Yeah. So here, I'm going to give you some, I'm going to stop reading every name, but I'm going to read to you some of the ones that maybe on the cusp. Maybe we should have rethought this a little more for the purpose of maintaining the credibility and the sanctity and the prestige of the Hall of Fame. All right. And these are the names that I think are controversial, if you will. I'm going to start with, so I'm going to avoid all the WNBA players, the women's players. I'm going to avoid all of the entries that from the 50s and 60s, the old school guys. I'll start with this one. Sarunas Marciulionis is in the Hall of Fame. Warriors fans remember him, right? But he got in mostly because of his accomplishments in Lithuania. That's an international thing. I guess maybe that's not controversial because a lot of these guys are getting in. What are your thoughts on Mitch Richmond as a Hall of Famer? Let's start there.
I think, man, that's a tough one. When I think of Mitch Richmond in the Hall of Fame, I don't. Not Mitch Richmond. Let me just when I think of the Hall of Fame, I think of guys who were the best player in the NBA or top 3 to 5 in the NBA at some point. And I've never seen Mitch Richmond as that, but he was a guy that, he definitely had the numbers. He played enough. A long enough time in the NBA to reach certain milestones and things like that. So statistically, he's a guy that fits that narrative I was just talking about, or whatever. What I'm saying is 70 players in the NBA today who will have the numbers to be in the Hall of Fame, or whatever. So he got in, and it's like great. I can accept it, but I never looked at Mitch Richmond as he's one of the greatest of all time, even though, obviously they're all, basketball players, so they're all great. But no, this is where the levels thing pop in. But
absolutely. Like another name, for example, Yao Ming is in the Hall of Fame. And if it was just based off the NBA, I would push hard against it. But he also had all those years playing in the CBA, which I think it stands for the Chinese Basketball Association. He was a champion there, 3-time FIBA Asia Cup MVP. But the fact that Yao Ming only made 8 All-Star teams, that to me is just not enough. That is not a Hall of Fame number. Mitch Richmond, going back to him for a second, he was a 6-time All-Star. Like, how does that represent Hall of Fame? Like, and here's a couple others. Like Tracy McGrady's always one that is a little, on the border. I have debates about that. Maurice Cheeks. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I never. Maurice Cheeks is funny. I know him as a coach, and then as a player, I just knew he was on the team with Barkley and Moses Malone and them or whatever. But I never, knew him as like, this amazing player or whatever. So he would have to fit in there too. But I don't. Did coaching? Not coaching shouldn't have added to that. I don't think. But
no, he got in as a player. Like Vlade Divac is in. Like, I mean, I know we did a lot of international shit, but Vlade, like, are we serious here?
Sorry, I gotta give you some pushback on Yao Ming. Sorry, I gotta give you some pushback there.
Pushback.
So eight All-Stars, but didn't he only play like 10 years or something like that? Did he make 10 years?
Is longevity not important then? Like, is durability not important?
That's the thing. Yeah. So I think, with certain players like that, I'm okay with adding his CBA accomplishments and stuff like that, because when he got to the NBA, he also showed, because we've seen a lot of those guys. We've seen the Kings just had one, Sasha Shavenko or whatever.
Okay.
I think I said his name right. Now I think about it. But He was EuroLeague MVP multiple times, and he may get in now I think about it, but he's an MVP out there, and then he comes to the NBA and to the States, and he can't even crack the rotation. That wasn't the case for Yao Ming. Ming.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. He showed that he could be elite here.
All I could tell you is, like, Rick Barry, for example, he much prefers me introducing him as a member of the NBA top 50 all-time team. Like, he considers that to be far more prestigious than being a member of the Hall of Fame. I almost feel like they should kind of create a separate NBA division, because in looking at this list, what I think dilutes it considerably is all the non-NBA players that are getting in. There's a lot of them, dude. And I don't know if you go to the Naismith Hall of Fame, if maybe there's just a wing for the NBA. I've never been there. Interesting field trip. You ever been?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to go.
Right.
The chat's all interesting. Like KS, for example, is asking, or it's accusing me of being in denial about international play qualifying you for the Hall of Fame. Yeah. So yes, that's what I'm saying. I don't have a lot of respect for the international game. And the reason why is because the best players in the world are in the NBA. So when you're accomplishing all this stuff internationally, it's just it doesn't impress me that much. I'm sorry. We can agree to disagree on that, but I don't respect the international stuff that much. I just don't. I'm just seeing if there's anything in the chat that we missed before we wrap it up. Xavier Hill adding that Mitch Richmond should have gotten in because of Run TMC. Yeah, all 3 members of Run TMC are in the Hall of Fame. Tim Hardaway was admitted just a couple years ago. And I guess that's it. So Anthony's saying that it should be the NBA Hall of Fame, and it's not. And I guess that's my whole point, is maybe there should be an NBA Hall of Fame. Like maybe there should be something, because is the NFL, is it just for football players internationally? Or I'm pretty sure they stick to NFL, right?
Yeah.
Is baseball do they expand and include players from Cuba and Japan and factor in all that stuff? Or are they just Major League Baseball?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I just want an NBA Hall of Fame. And we've been stretching this out way too long. Armando Laura adding Chris Webber. Why is Chris Webber not in the Hall of Fame? He is in the Hall of Fame, actually. He made it a few years ago, Armando. So there you go. Sacramento Kings legend, Bleav Golden State Warriors legend. What did we miss? I feel like there's topics we did not cover today. Did we forget anything?
No, I think we got it. I think we did. We talked about that's how we got to here. We talked about Dennis Schröder. We talked about JK. We talked about, I think it was really those two. Did we have a third?
I thought there was something else, and if not, oh well. Look, if any, what are you gonna do? If anything comes down for the Golden Days audience, we will go live immediately. I anticipate this Kuminga thing wrapping up soon. If they're this close, where we're talking about just 1 year, whether it be a team option, player option, like if that's all that's left, I think we're gonna see a resolution there very soon. People could follow you again, Mark, on social media at Mark Haynes NBA. I have to give a real quick before we go, FanDuel some love. As proud sponsor of Bleav, of Golden Days, hopefully Bleav in Kings soon. And I'm looking at the NBA lines. Every time I go there, it just makes me laugh that you can bet on the Warriors opening night at LA. You can also bet on some Christmas games now. As insane as that sounds, the Warriors are 4.5-point favorites over the Dallas Mavericks on Christmas. That is insanity to me. Some Sacramento Kings lines of note. If you want to bet on the Kings, I actually like this bet. If you want to bet on the Sacramento Kings to win the NBA Finals, okay, do you want to guess what the odds are on that? I'll let you guess first before I answer that.
It's in the thousands.
Oh yeah.
That's the best I got.
I'll tell you this. The Golden State Warriors are plus 3,000, meaning which is in itself incredible odds. The OKC Thunder are favored to repeat. They're plus 220. The Cleveland Cavaliers have the second best odds to win the championship at plus 650. The Denver Nuggets are third at plus 900. The Knicks and the Rockets round out your top five. The Warriors, again, plus 3,000. What is your guess for the Sacramento Kings?
Minus 10,000.
I'll give you another guess. Keep going higher.
20,000. Minus 50.
What'd you say? What'd you guess?
50.
You got it. It's plus 50,000 odds right now. I would look. There's a lot of teams with insanely high odds like that to win the championship. The Wizards and the Utah Jazz. Oh, and the Hornets and the Nets. All four of those teams are plus 100,000. What is that? Is that $1 to win 10 grand? Is that what that?
Wow.
That is wow. You're absolutely right, dude. I mean, why would you not just put a few bucks down on all of these?
I think I got $5 sitting around here.
Yeah, exactly. $5. You could win a fortune, dude. Like you can pay off your mortgage with Pelicans are plus 60,000. The Bulls plus 60,000. I'll tell you this, man. The Trailblazers, who I think are going to surprise some people this year. I don't think they're going to win the championship, but again, for plus 60,000, sign me up. And then the Sacramento Kings and the Phoenix Suns are both plus 50,000. And then you get a massive jump from that. The next highest odds are the Toronto Raptors plus 15,000 and the Memphis plus 12,500. That is some crazy numbers right there. So there you go. All right. So FanDuel, thank you very much for that. I can't wait for the season to start, dude. Are you going to media day?
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, me too.
So I'm juiced.
Me too. So we'll be back next week. Tuesday nights is when we do this. 2 weeks from now, you and I are going to be reporting on our media day experiences. Might even have some multimedia elements to play for you. Stay tuned for that. I'm checking to see just. And Anthony's asking, are there odds for the playoffs? I'm sure there are. Let me check real fast here. Because FanDuel is just stacked in terms of odds. So you can bet. Let me see if there's an update on regular season wins. It's still grouped in like 5 games. Oh, no. What? Hold on. I think we have some new odds here. We do. All right, I'm going to share my screen real fast. Before we go, FanDuel now has over-unders for wins for this coming season. Mark, let's do this. Do you want to tease? Because by next week, I think I'm hoping this Jonathan Kuminga thing will be resolved, and then the dominoes are going to fall after that in terms of a roster. Rosters being set for the Golden State Warriors. So by next week, do you want to do an OU show or where we bet on every team's over-under?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Do you want to guess real quick what the Kings' specific over-under is? We'll do the Kings of the Warriors before we go. What's your guess first for the Kings? How many wins is the OU, you think, for Sacramento this year?
Was it 35?
Bravo, brother.
I'm on it. Oh,
you're off by 0.5. The over-under is 34.5.
Jeez, that's good. All right.
I'm gonna bet the under on that, by the way. I think. What would you? So they do have the Warriors really high, and I gave that away. I'm sorry, but what would be your guess for the Warriors OU?
47.5.
Dude, but you should gamble. You should bet because the OU for that is 46.5. That's a high number. I know Armando Laura, who joins me each week, he's been adamant to bet the under on the Warriors this season, and I think he predicted the OU to be much lower than that. 46.5 for your Golden State Warriors. That is fascinating. So next week we will do an OU show where we'll make some predictions in terms of whether to bet the over under for each team. FanDuel has a lot of great odds here. The Sacramento Kings odds to make the playoffs. I think someone asked that in the chat. Yes, plus 400. No, minus 670. And the Warriors, meanwhile, to make the playoffs. Yes, minus 300. No, plus 210. So, oh boy, I hate the fact that FanDuel is not legal in California. Damn it, dude. It looks like so much fun. Anyways, all right. So that's that. So next week we'll do an OU show. Hope you and your fam are doing great, brother. Are we done? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's a wrap.
All right. Join us every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Great to see you, brother. Great to see everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye. No, that's just for Golden Days. We'll just end it cold for our program. Thanks again, everybody. I'll make it close for us. I'll add some production for us. Thank you again, everybody. Bye-bye.